Alright, time for the first foray onto the test server for 2026. I think this version of the test server did actually get published at the end of last year, but I just haven't played it yet. And if you want to try the test server yourself, the link to it is in the description. Essentially, it's just a version of the game which has the proposed changes for the next patch on it. And so they can be tested out for real before anything gets deployed. And hopefully we'll catch all the many and various bugs that tend to appear. It's not a guarantee though. But anyway, yeah, the reason I wanted to play this particular run was to test out the one new pet that is being trialled, which is the Bumblebee. Now, the Bumblebee sprite was actually leaked a long time ago, or data mined, whatever you want to call it. So it's been around for ages, and it's just finally getting its chance to make an appearance. And unsurprisingly, it synergizes with Queen Bee and the other bee pets that are in the game. So the only other ones are the bee that you get from honey, and then we've got the Bombus dalbomi, the tier 1 from Danger Pack at the back there. I just put the honey on it. And actually Queen Bee has been changed so that it can buff these units as well, which is a really nice adjustment in my opinion, because I asked for that. I think Queen Bee is one of those units that is very unique, but at the same time is very, very limited because there are so few pets that interact with it. Of course, you've got Bear as well. Now, I don't think I actually take Bear in this particular game, but most of the runs I was going for, I was taking Bear because it provides honey. But you don't actually need Bear for it to work. It just means you're a bit more susceptible to ailments. However, in this particular test server, we're going to face a lot of the same people, other people who are testing stuff, and they weren't necessarily testing the things that were going to counter Queen Bee all that much. So the Bumblebee pet, I'm not actually going to put the ability on screen because there's a pretty good chance the ability is going to change anyway since this is on the test server. But it's kind of like a summon version of Tardigrade. So what it does is when a bee is summoned, it gives attack to all the other bees. Or maybe, does it give them to all? I'm not sure if it actually gives it to all the other bees, or maybe it's only 3 bees. But then it gives itself Silly, which is kind of an odd ability, but at the same time it has a pretty strong synergy with Unicorn here. As you'll see in the next battle, as soon as we summon a bee, actually we're going to summon 2 bees now, and then we'll see another change from the Axe Handle Hound. Okay, we don't actually get to see it in this particular battle, but Axe Handle Hound will actually now trigger off of any before attack. It doesn't have to be itself. But you could see in that previous turn that the Bumblebee got buffed by the Queen Bee in the shop, and then when it activated its own ability in the battle, it got the buff from the Unicorn. So actually we can kind of abuse that and play double Unicorn here and start farming some stats onto this Bumblebee, as you'll see here. Yeah, so it looks like it does only buff the bees, and it's only giving a little bit of attack. But you can see how this can kind of get out of control quite quickly with the double Unicorn. Of course, if the Bumblebee doesn't get healed, then it will give attack to the opposing team, which isn't ideal, but at the same time, I think it's quite nice that it's a funny ability. It's very atypical, much like Queen Bee itself. Actually, there in the shop you can see another one of the new items, the Sandwich, which is only 1 gold. And that's kind of like an alternate version of Lollipop. So instead of swapping the stats between attack and health, it balances them out. So I think that's actually really strong for 1 gold. I think, if you think about pets like Wasp, where you can get up to 50 attack very quickly, but Lollipop ends up with it only having very low attack and high health. Now you could play Sandwich and then even out completely, so it would be like a 26-26 or something to that effect. Interesting seeing some of the other teams that are playing here, like this one. There's quite a few Pink Robin teams on the test server because it's been moved to Tier 1. I'm not sure that's really necessary, but it's always funny to try changes out when they are available. There have been plenty of things in the past that have been on the test server that didn't make it to live. Okay, and for some reason I'm thinking here about, I guess maybe I'm thinking about getting rid of the hawk and just playing 3 unicorns. But I don't think that would work, because the first unicorn would have to faint in order to get the summon effect and trigger the Bumblebee in the first place. Yeah, you can see the Bumblebee here is only level 1, but it's up to 25/25 already with the 2 unicorns. Thinking about combining them together and then playing a second Bumblebee. Yep, that looks like what we're going to do. And you can see there that the middle Bumblebee actually activates in shop and gets the buff from the unicorn. Obviously the unicorn doesn't have enough triggers for the number of bee summons that we have, but it is still pretty funny seeing how out of control this can get. Actually, is this 9 wins? Are we going to win the game here? Yes, we are. And of course it's on the test server, so I get the unicorn achievement. Pretty sure I've got that one already. Now let's just have a quick look at some of the other rounds that I had playing this. Here's the variation with Panther. Of course, Panther doesn't have anything to do with bees, but it is unique in that you can make it multiply the effect of any perk. So we can use it to multiply the effect of the honey. And actually barely scrape a win there because of the potato at the back. Similar looking team again here. I think this team wanted the Pink Robin to activate the Winter Spirit. But I think again the potato is actually going to come into play and save us from the Mana Snipes. Yeah, so we barely scrape a draw. I think maybe if the... actually maybe the Quetzalcoatl was needed there in order to get to level 3 and activate the Winter Spirit. In fact, I think this is actually the exact same team, and then on the following turn. And it looks like we're in big trouble here. But again, we've got the potato, and so we scrape a tie. And the Queen Bee team lives to fight another day.